Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We're so glad you're all here. I'm Nicole from ClinicSense. And to anyone new in the group, a very warm welcome. We can't wait to get to know you all and grow our happy community. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. Today is going to be a goodie. We're talking about how to build an abundant massage business. And what we mean by that is a business that's not only successful, but one that gives you the lifestyle you dream of when you start a business, one that gives you freedom, flexibility, independence, and hopefully without burning out. So I don't know about you, but that sounds dreamy. It sounds ideal for anyone in the chat that's not familiar with ClinicSense, or if you're considering ClinicSense for your business. Here is the deal. We are your all-in-one practice management solution, and it is our mission to help you run and grow a successful business. So what makes ClinicSense unique is how easy it is to use and how easy it is to learn, and also the amazing tools we have available to simplify running your business. So what that means in your day-to-day is that you'll spend 75% less time on your admin, giving you extra time to do what you really want to do, and that is spend time with your clients. Your client documentation is fully customizable, also HIPAA and PIPEDA compliant. And you have awesome marketing and communication tools to help you stay connected to all your existing clients and also really nurture your relationships with your new clients. So if you're not a customer and you're intrigued to try us out, we do have a 14-day free trial. Give us a shout in the comments as well if you are interested, and we'll help you get us signed up. So on to the task at hand. I have the pleasure of introducing our lovely guest, Julie. Julie is a former massage business owner and also massage therapist. She's now a full-time digital marketer and a business coach. So it's really cool speaking from an ex-massage therapist as well, to get this kind of insight from a therapist who's been through it all and understands what we really go through and what we really want out of our lifestyles. She's helped so many people so far with their businesses to grow them, and we're so excited to have her on. During the talk, just a quick look at our agenda. First, we'll start off with a business mindset for massage therapists. It's not always our go-to. We normally get into the business to help people and not necessarily with a business mindset. So we're going to dig into how that can really help you grow your business. And then the biggie and the not so fun one, knowing your numbers. And moving on to financial forecasting. Big word. She's got an amazing, simple concept and a way to understand it. So we're going to go through a bit of that. And then how to price your services. So important for growing your business and feeling confident. And then as a bonus, we're also going to go through, Julie will go through an example of an actual financial forecast to give you an idea of what it really looks like and how simple it can be. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to talk about one of my absolute favorite topics.
How do we get into that mindset? I have to run a business, but I also want to have a business that helps people and not burn out myself. How did you do that for yourself?
I love this question because I think it is one of the toughest things that massage therapists and most wellness providers struggle with. I think in massage school, we, first of all, kind of get sold a dream that we're going to get to work for ourselves and, make a lot of money and do what we love. And I do think that can be true, but unfortunately, we don't always get the business education to support that. So I think there is a big mindset shift that has to happen from, being the service provider to putting on the business owner hat or hats, because if you're running a business, there's a lot of them that you have to wear.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really important to remember, and I think something that we all struggle with a little bit, is you really have to understand and embrace the value of your services. So even if you're just a student right out of massage school, you are still an expert in your services. You have spent hours studying the body. You've given hundreds of massages by that point, and you should not be afraid, even right out of school, to charge what you're worth. The next piece of that, I think, is getting some business education. Like I said, we all know most massage schools aren't really providing that at the level that we need to actually run a successful business. So I think it's really important to invest some of those CE hours that you spend on learning new modalities and things like that into learning the skills that you need to run your business effectively. If you think about CEOs or, successful entrepreneurs in other fields, they have spent thousands of hours learning how to be great salespeople, great marketers, offer great customer service, all of that kind of thing. So we need to do the same thing in that regard. And the next thing I would say is what we're doing today, which is getting really clear on your numbers, because if you know your numbers, you're going to feel way more empowered to charge what you should be charging for your services. You'll learn this throughout, but I never think it's the best idea to set your prices based on what people in your area are setting their prices at, or what you think the market can bear. You actually need to set your prices based on what will support your life. That's what's going to be sustainable, and that's what's going to prevent burnout.
I love that so much. And it's so easy to slip into burnout without having a focus somewhere. So if you're just, okay, I need to go from day to day to day, I need to survive today, I need to get as many appointments as I can possibly do to stay above water. So I think that's so valuable to know that if you understand your numbers at your basis, okay, this is what I need to get to that lifestyle I want. It's like a compass for running your business, right?
Absolutely.
So we understand why we need to. So now's the biggie, how. How do we understand our finances? Where do we even start? What does that look like for a massage therapist?
So I think understanding the numbers that you should be looking at. First off, there's a really simple formula as far as finding out what you should be charging per hour, which is basically taking your expenses and dividing those by the number of massages that you can or will want to do per month. And we'll look at that a bit in the financial forecasting tool. And I think that will really help all the massage therapists here with that piece. But beyond that, there's also regular budgeting. I know a lot of people who have never done a budget, and of course, there's nothing wrong with that if you didn't get that skill or learn about how to do that growing up or at any time in your life. That's how it is. But for a business owner, it's so important not only to have a personal budget, but a business budget that you're keeping track of and that you're making that a regular habit. I remember something that's just stuck with me throughout life since I became a business owner is I took a free class, a business class at the SBA. And they said a business owner should always have their finger on the pulse of their numbers. And I always have thought about that ever since, because when you really dive into just what that sentence is, it means a lot. It means tracking how much revenue you're bringing in, what the ebbs and flows of your numbers are, but also setting goals and seeing if you're hitting those goals so that you know if you are forecasting realistically. And also, what does that look like in terms of new clients per month, client retention, so on and so forth. So there's a lot to unpack there. And but I think just kind of putting that little philosophy in your brain that as a business owner, you should really have your finger on the pulse of your numbers is a good place to start.
Love that. Quick tangent. You mentioned having the goals that we want that we have in our business. So if we're looking at our numbers and we're starting from scratch and you have a goal, I want, 5-room spa, I want, so many numbers a month. How do you know if your goal is realistic?
That's a great question. The only way to know really is to be tracking that. So personally, and I know if there's anyone here that's taken any of my classes or done coaching with me, you've probably heard me say this more times than you care to hear again, but I do budgeting every single week. That has been a practice since I started my business, many years ago. I do that both in my personal and in my business. So it's, once you get in the practice of it, you start to really get like a, I don't know, a third sense, a intuition, I guess, about how your numbers are going, because deep down from looking at them all the time, you start to really understand how they're working, and if you are accurately forecasting into the future. I think there are some numbers that you can use if you're new and you don't have numbers or data to already look at. So typically, a business would grow by like 10% month over month. If you're doing marketing and all of those kinds of things, obviously. And, so you can expect that a new therapist would add like, maybe 2 to 3 new clients per month, something like that, without looking at my actual documentation. I'm not sure if those numbers are exactly right, but something along those lines. You might start your practice off depending on how much marketing you've done, with maybe 20% of your books being full, or it might even be less than that. So, I think looking at things like that, that's pretty realistic. And then of course there's going to be downtimes, like, typically January and February might be really slow, and it depends on where you live, it's specific to you. But I think the only real way to set realistic goals and numbers is for you to start tracking what you have coming in, or look back at the past if you're a therapist who's been in business, and take a real look at what's been happening, or what's happening as you go along. And then as you get used to looking at those, you're going to be able to set more realistic goals and, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think there's definitely value in the repetition, and like accepting that it's new and scary, and just doing it over and over and over. I just moved back, another quick tangent, we love them. I just moved back to South Africa, and I'm going into all the shops and getting used to the new numbers of prices of things, and having no idea what is good and what is bad and what it's supposed to be. But the more I'm doing it, the more I'm seeing what is normal, what is high, what is low, the easier it is for me to understand what I need to spend on things. So I feel like it's maybe the same thing. The more you look at it, the better you understand it.
It's true for your personal budget as well. You probably, if you've never done a budget of any sort, you don't even really know like what percentage are you spending on groceries or rent, or where's your money really going? Because that's the other thing I have learned over the years of my life, is that if you don't pay attention to money, it's gonna go.
It's gonna go.
You're probably not gonna know where it went. So it's really important to keep your eyes on that guy. They like to run out the door if you're not watching them. So
they do like to do their own thing. Okay, so we've got kind of wrapped our head around needing to track our numbers, and you mentioned budgeting and financial forecasting. And I know financial forecasting is what we're going to talk about today, but I feel like budgeting is a word people are more familiar with. So what is the difference, and what should we be doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Especially if like in the realm of massage therapy, we don't often get a look at financial forecasting documents or tools. There's not a lot out there for us. So financial forecasting is estimation. You're looking at the numbers, you're kind of basing it on either what your expenses really are, or what you think they will be for, let's just say with the tool that I have, we're looking at a 12-month period. There are other tools that you could look at, do a much longer forecasting, so on and so forth. But for these purposes, we'll just say a 12-month period into the future. And then you're estimating how many massages you think you're going to do in that 12-month period, and how much you're going to charge, and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of estimation and playing around with those numbers to see what would it look like if I changed this or that, and how would that impact my numbers overall. For budgeting, you're doing a little bit of both. So you want to have an estimation for, I like to do a 12-month budget personally. So for 2024, let's say I just did my budget, I'm estimating what my expenses are going to look like for that year. And I'm also estimating what my income is going to look like. And then every month or weekly for me, I'm going in and I'm putting in realistic numbers, and I'm seeing, are those lining up? In particular for business, if I estimated or set a goal for myself of, let's just say 25 clients for that month. If I break that down per week, we're like 7 clients per week, let's say. then we can look at per week, am I hitting those numbers? Am I really low this first week? Maybe that means I need to do more marketing to hit my goals. I want to run a special. I want to push my packages, whatever the case may be. So budgeting is much more tactical, I would say, where forecasting is more high level.
Okay, so you're kind of figuring out what you need to spend, where a big thing we need to figure out is what we're going to price our services. How do we start? How do we know what to price our services at?
My favorite question. So once again, the financial forecasting tool is going to be the best way, or exercise, even if you don't use my tool, doing it in some way, shape, or form is going to be your best friend in setting your prices, because then you're actually going to be able to look at your real numbers, or at least your estimated numbers for what you need to make, what you need to save, taxes, your expenses, all of that kind of stuff. And then how does it look if you were to charge $95, $75, $120? Over that 12-month period, are you going to be breaking even? Are you going to be, making a huge profit? If you don't do that kind of exercise, it's just kind of throwing darts in the dark. Like, you don't really know if you're going to hit the mark. And a lot of mistakes I think that massage therapists make in the beginning is we tend to reinvest too much of our money into the business and buy things and CEs and all of that kind of stuff. Not that I'm against CEs. I love CEs and I love learning new modalities. But I think you have to know whether or not you can actually afford that. And sometimes what you're doing most of the time is you're actually taking money from your own personal pocket, like to pay your own personal expenses. So that's sort of where that pay yourself first idea comes in. It's a very abstract idea when you just hear it, but when it's actually explained how to make that work in your business, it makes a lot of sense. If you're paying yourself like a bill, then you know whether or not you can afford that extra thing that you want to do for your clients, or do you need to save up for it, or does it need to wait for another time?
Yeah, it's actually very good to remember that. And I feel like that might be like a hack to pay yourself what you need to be paid, because it's easy to just go, oh no, I'll pay myself next time or next month or next month. I need to get this first. So get that first. So I love that. That's such a good tip. I guess that also kind of goes into avoiding burnout, because at least you're getting what you need to get.
Yes, burnout is huge. And I think there's so many reasons for it. A big one is that, you can't be in survival mode financially in your business and have enough energy to give to everyone else. So there's a lot. I mean, I could deep dive into that one for a whole hour, but there, that is a really important thing to think about, is your cup has to be full for you to be able to continue to give sustainably for years, which I assume we all want a business that's going to last years, and maybe even something we could hand down to our kids or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So in order to do that, your business has to be feeling like a fulfilling adventure for you. So financials are a big, huge piece of that. And also learning to set boundaries around your time, understanding how many massages it would really take for you to do to meet your financial goals if you set your prices lower than what they should be. Maybe you have to do 30 more massages a month than you're comfortable with in order to meet your bottom line. And does that really work when you think about it long term? So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but I think that's the gist of it overall.
Yeah, it's an awesome kind of like a zoom out, like a perspective check on your business. Like, okay, what do I really want out of this, and how can I do it sustainably? Because we want to do it for a while.
Yes.
And I guess what goes hand in hand with doing it for a while is, over a year or two, you will eventually have to raise your rates. And I know there's a lot of people, a lot of massage therapists, myself included, very nervous about it. Are we going to scare our clients away? How do we approach it? When do we do it? Give us the tips.
Yes. Well, if you haven't raised your rates to where they need to be, obviously you are going to need to do a big jump. And I think that's the biggest scary thing for people. I'll start with, I've helped so many people do this. I have witnessed so many people doing this, raising the rates by 30 or even $50 in a jump.
Mm.
And I almost have never seen people lose more than, say, one or two clients. And when
Wow.
they do lose clients, those spaces are like instantly filled with new people who do see the value in the services and can afford them. Of course, I know we probably want to have lots of discussion on that. But for now, I'll leave that piece there. It's true. I've seen it happen over and over again. So just sometimes you just have to kick the imposter syndrome guy out of your head and trust the process and trust that everything's going to be okay. And I think that is probably the number one barrier that we face as massage therapists. We just can't get that out of our heads that our clients are, we're going to price some of them out. They're going to be like, who the heck are you to charge that much? All of that kind of stuff. So I think that's the biggest piece, the biggest hurdle to overcome. And there's a lot of money mindset stuff to overcome there, and that kind of thing. The other thing, without going too far, down the rabbit hole, is your target audience and who you're working with. It's true. If your audience or your ideal client, let's say your ideal client or the clients you have right now, if they are sort of on the edge of income levels where they might be teetering on being able to afford your services, I think, then you do have to sort of think about, do you have the right target audience to support the life that you need to have, or to support a practice that's sustainable? So there may be some work to do there first. I know we all want to be able to, if we could, I hear massage therapists say this all the time, like, we want to be able to just give our services away. We wish we didn't have to deal with money at all.
Yeah.
We just help people. And I get that. But I think someone in my current challenge said it best, is like, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. You cannot put yourself into financial survival mode and expect to be able to help other people. So my answer for that is to fill your practice with people who can afford the rates that you need to build a fulfilling practice that supports your ideal lifestyle. And then you'll have spaces that you can add in to help those people who can't afford massage traditionally. Then you're doing that piece of the work that you want to do, or you could volunteer or donate or whatever the case may be, but you're doing it in a very informed and strategic way, so that you yourself don't end up in a place where you need someone to help you get the services that you need. You don't want to put yourself in that place. So that doesn't make sense. And it also isn't good business strategy. So as far as raising your prices, I 100% believe that you should be raising your prices every single year, especially once you get to that place of, this is where my bottom line needs to be. Just have a time that you set, you raise your prices annually, then you don't have to do that giant jump to keep up with inflation or changes in the economy and all of that kind of thing. You can do the normal price raises based on how cost of living has changed and that kind of thing. And a lot of people that I've been talking to recently, they don't necessarily do it in January. They have found that doing it like in the spring or something like that is working better for them. So just keep that in mind. You can figure out what's best for you as far as when to raise them annually. And how to do it. I usually like to give 30 days notice because I'm a budgeter. So I think about myself, which I'll just quick side tangent. You may not be your ideal client. Keep that in mind. That was sort of mind-blowing for me when someone said that to me. I was like always thinking about, well, if I was doing this and this is how I would feel, and if someone raised their prices $30, I would feel this way. And when a business teacher was like, you are actually not your ideal client, I was like, oh,
Interesting.
wow, that's so mind-blowing. Yeah. So you can't always think about how you would react. You have to get yourself in the mind of your dream client and how they would react to things or what would be best for them. So I think if anyone has a budget, that's sort of how I based it on. Most people budget for 30 days. So I feel like 30 days notice gives them time to change up their budget, see what they can afford. And then you have time to message out like a couple weeks, give them 30 days notice, and then another message a couple weeks before, and maybe one more 1 week before. That's up to you whether or not you want to do a lot of messaging. But I usually do those via my email list, and then signage in the office, and social media. So if you're using social for your business, it's a good place to keep people updated. And another thing that I found to be really successful, you don't have to do this, but you could, as an offer to your current clients, is allow them an opportunity to buy a package at your current rates within that 30 days after you've announced your increase. And then they have the opportunity to enjoy your lower prices for a little bit longer of a time. And that can be kind of a nice boost to your income, but also a way for your clients to sort of feel at ease with the price change.
Yeah, also like speaks to loyalty and, appreciation for your existing clients. And I think there's a lot to be said for also making it the norm. This is something you do every year and it's not a shock, and everybody else does it. Every other business does this. It's normal. It's okay. It should happen. It's just another way to make sure you're running a business that's going to sustain the life you want.
Exactly. And I've seen this come up in some of the massage groups recently. It was like how to word it. What do you say if a client asks you about it? I think keeping it really simple and light is the best way to go. Of course, you could say raising my prices due to inflation or cost of equipment or whatever the case may be. I've done a lot of training. If you want to give explanation, but I wouldn't like over explain it. Just keep it really simple to the point. And then if someone does ask you about it, my favorite way to answer that question is just, I've ran my numbers. This is the way that things need to be for me to have a sustainable business, and so that I can continue to offer you the services that you love so much, and I think most people can appreciate and relate to that.
Yeah, I think everybody will understand that. A simple explanation is probably all you need. Everybody understands how the world works. Prices go up everywhere. It's understandable if you want clients that value you as a therapist and want you to succeed and do well and be healthy. So it all goes hand in hand. It's just making it the norm and making sure you're focusing on the longevity of your career.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we've got to figure out how to actually get our baseline. How do we start with any kind of budgeting, financial forecasting? We would love to see how you do it.
Awesome. Okay, let me get my screen up here so we can take a look at a couple things. So we're not going to go over the budget tracker today in depth. We're going to look at the financial forecasting tool, but at the end of the call today, you will get a link to download the financial toolkit for free. So this is one of the pieces that are going to be in there, and I just wanted to quickly show it to you so you know what it's about. And basically, it's a pretty much a typical budget, but I have it created specifically for massage therapists. Hopefully you'll find it easy to use, but any of you are welcome to reach out to me directly if you're needing help figuring out how to navigate a spreadsheet. I'm happy to show that to you or create a little video for everyone as well. But you can see at the bottom here, something I just wanted to point out is a way to track your goals as far as growth and also number of clients in February versus January and all of that kind of stuff. So there's personal budget, and there's business budget. Sorry about that. And hopefully it'll be pretty straightforward. So I won't dive too much into that so we have time for financial forecasting, but happy to answer questions at the end if we have time as well. All right, so this is the financial forecasting tool that you'll have access to at the end of our call today. And this is what I find to be, and I'm a little bit of a nerd around money, but to be like the most helpful when it comes to figuring out your finances. So I'll just give a quick overview of how it works, and we're going to stick to this one tab here, which is solo therapist, but I did want to just call out there are several tabs here. So if you have a different situation, like you have independent contractors or employees or a wellness center or whatever the case may be, there's pretty much a tab for almost everything you can think of. So if this solo therapist isn't your situation, just know that there are other things there that you can use. And again, you can always reach out to me if you're needing something customized or you need help with it. I'm here. The other thing is there's a video linked. It's a YouTube video that walks you through how to use this spreadsheet. So don't feel like you need to take scribbling notes to try to remember. If you're not a spreadsheet person, there's some video there that hopefully will help you. So the general gist of this spreadsheet is that you will put in the amount of massages you wouldn't want to do per month, and then the amount you want to charge per month. The additional income per session is if you like sell additional services on a regular to people. Usually that's going to be 0, but I like to put it there just in case. And then it's anything in blue is a formula. So if you're not familiar with Google Sheets, the formulas are up here. But basically, if you don't know how to deal with formulas, I would recommend leaving those as is and not changing them at all. You might even make a copy of this spreadsheet before you start making changes, just to make sure that you have a blank copy that you can go back to if you do mess up a formula. Or again, you can always reach out to me and I'll get you a new one. And then you're going to put the amount paid to massage therapist per session. The reason I set it up this way, so that's going to be you, obviously, if you're a solo therapist. The reason I set it up this way is so that you can treat yourself as if you are a bill or you're your own employee, and you can actually think about how much you want to pay yourself per session. That way, if you're not fully booked at the 64 sessions per month or whatever you're thinking, then you still have some kind of range or idea of how much you should pay yourself that month, even if you're not fully booked. So we're saying $75 per massage, but we'll go through all of those here. And then the massage therapist salary is going to be auto-calculated. That's why this is highlighted blue. So it's basically just taking your amount of massages per month times the amount you want to pay yourself, and it's putting that amount here. And then I put some fake numbers in just so we could pretend whether or not these are realistic. That's okay. We're just having some numbers there so we can look at them. And then I have a savings auto-calculated as well, and your taxes auto-calculated. And then you'll see your totals. And then I promise I'm going to get to the fun stuff, but I just want you to understand how the spreadsheet works. There's monthly totals at the end and annual totals, so you can see if you were getting into the red, you would know it. And then down at the bottom here, we can see the amount, our bottom line, basically. That's what this number is, your bottom line. This is the minimum you would have to charge to be able to cover your expenses. And this is your cost per client. Basically, that's not including your salary. So that's kind of how the spreadsheet works. So I put together a couple different options to look at here. One thing I'll say is I never really knew the name of it, and I think there are other names of it as well, but a colleague of mine had told me the name or what he knows the name of it to be, which is the profit first model. I'm not promoting whomever created that or anything like that. More so is just, I think it's a good model to look into. The idea behind it is that you set aside a certain percentage for paying yourself. You set aside a certain percentage for paying taxes. You set aside a certain percentage for profit, or what I like to call savings. And then the rest is for your operating expenses. And there is an idea behind that of businesses that are usually what massage therapy businesses, income ranges, which is like 250K or less. This is how you would break down those pieces. So profit 10%, owner pay 45%, taxes 15%, and operating expenses 30%. And even if that's not true for you, I think that it's a really nice baseline to look at so that you can start thinking about, what if I did try to set things up that way? What would it actually look like financially for me to do so? And the thought behind it is that you have 4 separate accounts and you keep that money separate from each other. You would put the profit aside in an account, and then if at the end of the year you had that profit and it wasn't going anywhere, you could actually make some decisions to use that towards reinvesting in your business, CE credits, paying yourself more, whatever the case may be. But instead of just having that profit living in your business expense account, you're kind of dividing it out into different accounts so that you don't just pull money, and not know where it's going. But I put together like a couple different options here. One, I feel like 95 is what I've been hearing, 95 for what people are usually charging. And I set the massage amount at 64 per week or per month, sorry, which is 16 massages per week. I know there are many of us who can only do, let's say 12 per week or even 6 per week. And there are many of us who can do much more than that. I feel like 64 is a pretty in-between number, so that's why I decided to go with that one. So you can see if I have 64 massages per month and I charge around $95 per session, then my total monthly income is $6,080. So I just kind of set a number, $65 per session is what I want to pay myself. So you can see that gets me to be around like $4,000 per month. My goal is always to get therapists at the minimum $50,000 per year. I think we tend to put ourselves in a little bit of a poverty level state. And so I'd like to get out of that. And I know 50,000 in some areas of the US is not even enough, but that's kind of the baseline that I've come up with in my mind. And then I put the rent pretty low here, assuming that this particular therapist either has a really good deal on rent or they are just paying for like days room rental per day. And so the expenses are fairly low and all of that kind of stuff. The other thing I'll mention without getting on another tangent, because I know we don't have enough time today, is you do want to have a marketing budget. Of course, there are lots of free ways to market, but it is going to be a lot easier on you if you set aside a marketing budget, even if it's for grassroots marketing efforts, like renting a booth at an event or creating door hangers to put around your neighborhood. No matter what, you should have some marketing budget set aside. And then, of course, the taxes are auto, what's the word I'm looking for, calculated. And then you can sort of see your totals for the month. So I kept it all in the, we're actually we're making our bottom line. But let me tell you some good ways to think about this is let's just say, my expenses were higher and I wanted to pay myself just 50%, 45, like let's just say 47. So I wanted to pay myself 50% of the sessions that come in. Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant to do. Let's just say, I know not all of us. I'm trying to put us in the red a little bit. Here we go. So you can see down here at the bottom, it'll tell you if you're getting into the red as far as like now, and it says over here, if it's negative, you need to either increase the cost per session or you need to reduce your expenses. I know that seems obvious, but I think it's like helpful to just sort of think through how this works. And if you're not charging enough, the outcome of that. Again, these expenses are really low, but let's put us back at 95. And then you can see here the minimum amount per session fee. So that's your bottom line, like I mentioned before. This will help you understand if you want to do packages or you would like to discount, say you want to have a first timer discount or something like that. This will help you understand whether or not you are able to do that and how much of a discount you can actually afford. So if my prices are 95 and I already am pretty much at that place, I know that I can't really discount at all with that amount that I'm charging. So if I want to have a strategy, a financial strategy where I do discount sessions, then I need to set my prices at a place that can actually handle that discount. So there's a strategy behind discounting. It's not just like, I want a discount to get people in. You need to make sure that your prices are set in such a way that they can bear discounting. So I'll wrap up. I know we're getting to the end here, but I have set the sheet that you guys will get is set at what I'm recommending massage therapists be at, depending on your area, which is around $150 an hour. And it is also set up with the profit first situation, with having 10% of profit being set aside and all of that good stuff. So hopefully that'll help you have a place to start. And even if you can't get to $150 right now, maybe that can be your goal for the next couple years to get there.
This is amazing. You're making me want to start a business. I've never looked at numbers and go, ooh, this looks fun and approachable. And like having those little goals and something that is, what came to mind seeing you do this now is you being a therapist yourself and having worked with so many therapists. It's so comforting and reassuring to see what's normal, and we can do this, and you can charge however much works for you as long as you know what your goals are overlying. So it's so cool to see how achievable understanding your money can be, because it can be such an overwhelming thing if you don't know where to start. So that is such an amazing resource. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What are the most popular questions you get from people when you open the spreadsheet and start explaining it? What comes up a lot?
I don't know if it's a question, but I think people have, I should find a name for it. They have spreadsheet fear. Like the minute they see a spreadsheet, they're like, I can't do it, and I think you have to just give yourself a breath and take it piece by piece. Of course, get help if you need it. Again, I'm here. But I do think that's the biggest thing that people tell me is they're like, I hate spreadsheets. I hate the numbers. I need help with the numbers. I need support, which is why I have supported a lot of massage therapists in doing this. But yeah, I think that's the biggest one. The other thing is, I would say, going back to that beginning of our conversation, just with people like, I can't raise my prices that much. I'm going to lose clients. How do I do that? All of that kind of thing. And I know I've answered a lot of those questions, but that's definitely, I think, even when people see their numbers and they realize that they do need to be charging more, getting themselves to a place where they actually can take that leap is really difficult. And I think, we have a lot of peer support groups online. And there are myself as a business coach, but there are other coaches out there as well. And I think that's where maybe you need a little bit of support to help yourself just get over that hump. Ask other therapists who have done it, get all the encouragement that you need to be able to give yourself what you need.
I love that. Ask for help. It's there. We do have a question asking how to determine a baseline fee for their area.
So, first of all, you can do competitor research. So I would just do a Google search for massage near you when you're at your actual massage studio and see what people are charging in your area. But I say that with caution, because even if, like, I know I'm working with some people who are surrounded by massage therapists who are charging a really low amount. Just remember that pricing equals perception. So even if you're much higher than everyone in your area, that just in people's brains, what it says to them is, there's something great about this person. They're charging a lot. They must be fill in the blank, really expensive, really experienced, really amazing, all that kind of thing. So I would just encourage you, if you do competitor research and all the people around you are charging way less than where you need to be, don't let that deter you from setting your prices appropriately.
I love that. It's also another part of putting yourself in the mindset of your client rather than your own mindset. You think, I can't charge much more than everyone else. I wouldn't like that, but it's not necessarily the way people perceive it.
Marketing is huge. That's why businesses have enormous marketing teams and they spend a lot of money there, is because You can pretty much justify any price with marketing. I really believe that's true, 100%, and I've seen it happen.
The power of marketing.
Yes.
We have one more question before we wrap up. Carrie has said she charges 105 per hour and is asking if a 10% jump is appropriate.
So 105, that would be like, what are we saying? Like $11 basically jump?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would say $20 or less. That's like a no-brainer. I feel like people would not even blink their eyes at that. It might feel really huge to you, and for you, it will make a big impact on your financials. But for clients, yeah, I feel like I've heard over and over again, after people make a jump, whether it's small or large, and they realize that everything's okay, they're like, I wish I would have raised my prices more.
Yeah.
And their clients are saying, you should have done that a long time ago, you know? So yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't even give yourself any stress about that one.
Amazing. Go for it, Carrie. You can do it.
Yes.
We've got another one. How often should we raise our prices per year? Every two? I think we did cover that, but explain to us
Every
why
year.
you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, especially now, inflation's so big in our world, and I don't know that that's going to change. I'm no economist, but I really feel like we have to keep up with cost of living.
Yeah. It has to happen.
And people expect it too. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. So if you don't raise your prices every year, you're basically just leaving money on the table.
Okay, we're getting the questions now. Let's do another one.
Yeah.
Is it okay to leave current clients where they are at price wise and charge the new rate with new clients?
It's okay, but it's not my recommendation. It is going to become laborious for you to maintain that, especially if you continue to grow or you ever expand or you add more therapists in. There's just so many pieces to that puzzle. I did this. I have experience with this, and that's where I speak from. I did it and I regretted it. And I also know other therapists who have felt the same way. So I recommend, if you want to do that, it's okay, but try to put them on a membership or a package, something that'll make it easy for yourself, something that'll give you a little bit more security, and also make it time limited. Like you can stay at this current price for 1 more year or 6 months or whatever the case may be. That way you have an out and you can decide if you want to extend that beyond the point.
That's smart. And then we've got a question on changing the rates depending on the length of treatment. So if it changes, so if you raise your 60-minute massage by $20, is it okay to raise your 90-minute massage by $25?
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad this question got asked. So here's my little soapbox on this matter. I know that what we tend to do, and sorry, I have a sun face.
That looks great.
What we tend to do is we tend to lower the 90-minute price or the 70-minute price for some reason, instead of actually charging, like if you were to just say break your 60-minute price down by minute, and that's what you charge all of your massage rates at, you know, then basically your 90-minute would be your hour plus half of that amount. That's really how you should be charging. I understand the reason, marketing reason. When you do marketing, you have like a good, best, better kind of situation, and people tend to go for the middle one, and the middle one is going to be the best value, and that's a psychological marketing tactic. So if that's what you're doing, you have a 60-minute and 90-minute, and let's just say a 2-hour, and you want people to book the 90-minute, then it might make sense to make that 90-minute slightly lower price to get them to book that one. But I know you didn't ask that question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. First things first is your 90-minute should be equally priced to your 60-minute or, you know, whatever amount of time you have. So yes, absolutely. You must raise all your massage prices, not just the 60-minute one. I mean, it's your choice in the end, but I don't recommend only raising one of the types of prices.
Cool. Amazing. If you decide to have a receptionist, how much would you pay a percentage of the hourly massage or a flat rate?
That's a really good question. A hard one to answer. I think it's going to depend on your area. I mean, I would say that typically receptionists are getting paid either just around minimum wage. That of course depends on your area. I'm in Oregon, so minimum wage is fairly high here, or just above it, you know. So like here, I'm gonna assume it's around like 17 or $20 an hour. Again, our minimum wage is higher. So I'm saying this, I also know ethically, you know, we want to pay people well, we want to make sure they can make a living. So, you know, but you have to have a business strategy behind that. So I would say run your numbers, try to keep your operating expenses within that 30% range. Look at what you have left in that realm after you have all of your other expenses in there and see what could you afford and keeping your operating expenses there to pay a receptionist. If you want to pay them more, maybe you just bring them at a lower amount of hours so that you can pay them more. Maybe you include some benefits in there to help offset like a lower pay. You're giving them massage and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a big question, but yeah, I would say if I were just going to answer it directly, I would say like just above minimum wage for wherever you are is usually what receptionists are expected to make.
Is it okay to do a high increase on a 90-minute, then the increase in the 60? 20 increase for 60 and 25 for the 90. I think maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Especially if your 90 was priced too low, then yes, they don't have to be exact. I think what you're asking is, do they need to be the exact same increase? No, you can change the 60-minute a different increase than your 90-minute. And people probably won't even really, you know, they're only going to take what's applicable to them. So if they're normally doing 90 minutes, they're just going to look at what your 90-minute price changes, and they're not even really going to care about the 60-minute.
Yeah. Awesome. Julie, where can people find you? We need more.
So you can check out my website, massagebusinesshelp.com. My email is massagebusinesscoach@gmail.com. And then pretty much on all the socials, I'm Massage Business Coach or Julie Campbell. So you should be able to find me pretty easily. And I'm in the group. So of course, you can always say hi to me in the ClinicSense group. I would be happy to chat with you there.
Thank you so much.
I loved it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. I'm already excited for our next chat. Thank you so much. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.